Voiceover.
Fun to dodge. All right. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Roblox Developers Conference 2017. Thank you all for traveling around the world to attend here in London, England. All right, I'm going to do a quick couple announcements here, and before we get this show on the road, hopefully many of you had this lovely little agenda on your seats. I want to outline a couple things. We're going to have a couple talks this morning. Between them, we'll have some lovely breaks, and there'll even be some snacks later on. One more thing I want to point out for everyone here, there is 2 tracks that we'll be breaking into later in the day. Your choice, what you want to follow, and what you want to watch. My one piece of advice, as a cool mental game, we've switched track 1 and track 2 on the map, so those are inverse, just so you guys know. That was just a test. All right, folks, I don't think I have much more to announce, except for that if you run out of battery power, there is a charging station in the back corner on a table with numerous plugs for everyone to share. All right, I think that's just about it. So, without further ado, let's get everything started with our keynote speaker and VP of Developer Relations, Grace Francisco. Thank you.
All right, good morning. Did you guys have a good time at the party last night? Yeah? Awesome. I did. It was awesome. So I am the VP of Developer Relations at Roblox. That's me. That's a real street sign. I'll let you guys guess where that actually is. It's not photoshopped, I guarantee it. So I joined in early April, and I have a long history in developer relations. I actually was inspired to join and do developer relations way back when I was watching Microsoft go to battle with Sun, and their evangelists were debating going Java, one language, multi-platform, or .NET. Pick your language, but you're going on the Microsoft platform. So it was really inspiring to me, and I ended up being a Java developer first, and then I went to Microsoft to be an evangelist. So it was a kind of funny turn of events. But I am actually really super happy to be here today as part of the Roblox community. I have heard many stories about all of you growing up on the Roblox platform. Many of you started to learn how to develop and build at a very early age. And that I thought was really interesting, that many of you just taught yourself how to code on the platform. I myself am also a self-taught coder. I spent a lot of time teaching myself how to code. And I was at IBM/Lotus at the time, and I was doing technical support, actually. And I taught myself a language that nobody else apparently knew in the company, which was Lotus Script. Nobody knew how to do this. And that actually led to a project where, way back when, the thing to do was to webify your Windows applications. And so I actually earned my first patent building this wizard product that took your approach databases that were based on DB2 and webified the forms and reports so that you could dynamically pull those on the web. That was a thing back then. But I look at what you guys do when you're building these games, when you're coding and building these experiences, and it's just so amazing what you guys are getting accomplished on the Roblox platform. So I'm super proud to be here. I actually didn't have a real good sense for what Roblox was really about. I mean, I knew this was going to be big and massive, massive opportunity. But what I really knew was when I started telling my friends and colleagues about the fact that I was going to Roblox. And literally everyone came out of the woodworks going, oh my God, you're going to Roblox. I mean, it was such a turnout from people. I had a colleague at Atlassian, so I was at Atlassian most recently, and he hip chatted me and was like, when you have a few minutes, please, 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 we have to we have to do a video call. So we did this video call and hip chat, and he had to absolutely tell me the reaction of his son about learning that his father suddenly had this friend that was going to his favorite social and gaming platform. And he gets on and says, I just had to tell you what this looked like. And literally his son's jaw dropped in shock. He had someone that he actually knew in his network that was going to Roblox. That's how massive the opportunities that we have fans like this, that you have fans like this, right? So it's really exciting to be here. How many of you are here at RDC for the first time? Ah, great. I'm in good company here. And then how many of you are here after going to the San Jose RDC recently? That's awesome. So thank you, especially for coming to this one and showing your love and support for the Roblox platform. So I'm going to go through some quick highlights. We've had a lot of accomplishments over this past year. First, we've been #1 in Google Play. #1 top free game app. Been #1 in Windows 10. These are massive achievements to be #1 in these markets, right? Top in iPad and iPhone listings as well. That's huge. And since Xbox, since we launched support for Xbox about 1.5 years ago, we have been consistently top free app there as well. These are really great accomplishments for Roblox, but you know what? We could not be there without your contributions, without your experiences that you are publishing on the Roblox platform. So I want to just give a shout out to our developer community for all the great things that you have been doing that has gotten us to these top rankings. Other things, we've been in the news, all over the news, right? TechCrunch Disrupt, Business Insider, in the Wall Street Journal, right? A bunch of the game channels, and VentureBeat. News about our fundraising, news about your success. Lots of really positive, amazing coverage for us. On the platform side, we continue to improve the platform. We continue to improve the physics engine so that you can continue to create complex models, right, that simulate real-life physics without having to do so much coding. So that's an area we continue to invest in. We have gone from R6 to R15, right, and we are really trying to achieve the level of fidelity, lighting, and experience that you have within the game. And we leave it up to your creative control on what it is that you want to see in that experience. Authentically mobile. We've had a lot of focus on being authentically mobile, right, for the last couple of years. And recently, we released portrait mode so that you could do one-handed gameplay, right? And that's just the beginning. We're going to continue to evolve and mature that feature. Many of you heard Dave in San Jose say, performance, performance, performance. That is something that we are deeply focused on. We continue to want to improve, whether it's rendering a world, joining a world, the number of players that are in a game. We're going to continue to focus on making that a much better experience. We have a ways to go, but that is a focus area for us as a company. YouTube influencers, YouTube space. That community of influencers has also grown, and thanks to marketing for all the work that they've been doing there as well. That's huge that we have so many influencers now covering Roblox. And that has actually been driving a massive, massive number of signups to the Roblox platform. Bloxies. And Jay Party has been a great MC for many of our events, including Bloxies. Bloxies has been massive this year. 500,000 views. That's a big event. Over 50 categories. 300,000 votes. That's huge engagement. Right? That's a big event. Earlier this year, we released toys. Toys, many of which were based on your creations. And they are so popular, they're literally flying off the shelves. Those shelves are empty. You go to local Toys R Us, you go to Target, you try to find Roblox toys, it's empty. So that's how popular these toys have become. Many of you have given feedback and seen that we've updated the logo, the Roblox logo. And what we're trying to achieve there is a logo that transcends age groups, right? And that really represents the vision of Roblox as an imagination platform, an imagination and entertainment social platform that is well beyond just games, well beyond just toys, right? So that is our future. We have been top in web properties and traffic in kids 2 to 12, right? And tweens 13 to 17. That's also a massive achievement. And then these mind-boggling numbers, right? 56 million active players per month. 56 million. That's not a drop in the bucket. And almost 500 million active engaged hours of play, which exceeds most television show engagement hours. That is also incredible, right? So these are really wonderful achievements that we've had over the last year. And you can see the monthly active players from last June to this June, consistently growing every month, month to month. Now, many of you already heard this announcement from Dave, which is, I thought it would be news to say, we've got a developer cashing out 1 million cumulative on the Roblox platform. That is a big number already. But not only do we have that, we have developers who are on track to cash out 2 million this year. We have a developer who is going to be able to cash out 3 million this year. And that is in many ways reflective of what is happening in the community today, where you guys are actually building dynamic teams, right? You're forming studios in some cases. You're specializing in your skills, where you're becoming specifically designers, scripters, builders. You're upping the quality of the games to get this kind of massive achievement. So you guys should be really proud of that. So we have some highlights. And again, I just want to thank all of you for your contributions to the success that we've had over the last year. And I'm going to switch gears here and talk about developer relations and what we're doing to help you be successful. So we are investing heavily in developer relations, again, to support your success on the Roblox platform. So joining the original members of, where's J Party? J Party, you still in the house? In the back? So Justin, one of the very original members of developer relations, who is a developer relations leader in the team, he took the accelerator program and re-envisioned that. And he recently also introduced the Incubator program. And he's been really a driving force in developer relations. Deepak, who is 2 blocks to quit. Are you in the house? Somewhere, Deepak? All right, Deepak, hiding in the back. I see you now, man. Deepak is the driver for these programs today, accelerators and incubators. He's actually running a session to talk about that some more later this afternoon. So you should definitely check that out. And then Laker. Where's Laker? Earthsmith Sparks, also hiding in the back. Another original member of developer relations, someone who has single-handedly been driving a ton of developer content on our sites. So joining those 3, we have, many of you know, Hippie of Doom, Robert, right? He's been helping out with a lot of events and games. And also joining in the past year, we have Penguin Mike Davis, or Will, who's also been helping to produce games. But more recently, we had Night Gilladald, very difficult to pronounce, Carlos joining as a community manager. And then we also have Rebecca, who just recently joined as a producer. She goes by Chewbecca, so you can go check her out on the Roblox platform. And then we also have Bakari, who joined as a content engineer very recently, as well as Genevieve, who's joined as a senior curriculum developer. And then we've had a wonderful intern this summer named, I was going to say Bakari, but not Bakari, Brandon, who is known as Cowbear16 as well. And he's been in the community for a really long time. So that's what we have in the team today, and we're going to continue to grow the team. And in community, we have Carlos focused as a community manager, and he works with, where's Quentin? In the back. So big applause for Quentin. He has done some amazing work with us here. He's been super supportive in helping put this on, and he practically single-handedly drove the volunteer-driven, the community-driven event here last year. So let's give him a big shout out. Thank you. And then Lily S. also works with them, but is not here. So Lily, if you are actually watching on the streaming, we miss you, and we hope to see you at RDC soon. So we've invested in community management. We're going to continue to add people in community management because we have 1.9 million developers who have published something on the Roblox platform. And we want to help people be successful. So we're going to be scaling out programs where we help at scale the millions of developers how to monetize, how to understand game mechanics, how to best build and design their applications. So you're going to see these large programs that will roll out from community. And speaking of community, if you are on this slide, can you please stand up for our champions? I know some of you are here. All right, thank you, champions. Where is Diesoft? All right, and you know this. Community would not be what it is without these community champions. So I'll go through this really quickly. Clone Trooper has been an active part of our community for some time, helping to keep documentation up to date. He's been a huge contributor there. And then Dhammapada Polymorphic have really stood up to take QA. We have hundreds of QA volunteers, and they have taken on QA leadership roles. And then Bill Thomas has also been doing QA work on our events, helping with that, along with stepping up to be the QA moderator for the QA community. And then Diesoft and Fractality, I know you guys are here somewhere, have really been great technical leaders in the community, providing technical guidance for a lot of our events and games, custom games. Big shout out to Diesoft for a hugely successful egg hunt this past spring, right? I mean, he was running a global team. And then Fractality, too, for the support he gave around getting some of these games to 4S. And then last but not least, Eco Reaper, Nexus Avenger, and Bill Thomas again, Bill Thomas, for their leadership in the community, right? We need people in the community who help to nurture those conversations, keep things on point, right? And to help the community help themselves, right? So thank you, champions, for everything that you do. Top developer programs. How many of you have been in our accelerator program? Raise hands. Okay, a couple of you. Incubator program? Deepak, you can't raise your hand. All right. So Deepak's running a session in detail about how you can apply for these programs, but these are programs that we run on-site at HQ, headquarters of Roblox. And the accelerator program is about a 3-month program. Incubator is about a 5-month program. You apply for this. These are some of the best developers in the community coming on site working with us, right? It's a great opportunity to work closely with developer relations, product, engineering, providing us feedback, and then getting the help that you need to really bring your Roblox experiences to life. And sometimes that means for us that we've got to enable new features, fix some bugs, but we're right there with you to help bring those to life. So these are great programs to check out. And then, again, these programs, some of the participants that we've had, past and present, the platform would simply not be what it is today without all of the amazing feedback these participants have given us. We've really brought it to the next level because of these programs and because of the people that have been in these programs. So big shout out to all of those participants that have been there. And this, you can see this picture is our current Accelerate Incubator teams. And they have really brought their A game to the program. So they are not only providing us feedback on the platform, not only providing us feedback on our programs, but they're coming in. I get in at about 7:30 at work, and a lot of them are actually there first thing in the morning, really committed to getting those games up and running and bringing them to life. They have taken that serious commitment to a level that I am just so impressed with. They're there late at night, they're on the weekends, and really taking advantage of the opportunity of working with us and the access to engineering, the access to product. So great stuff that's happening this summer there. And then beyond these top dev programs, we also have monthly event opportunities. You'll see those posted on the forums. They're for putting banners in your billboards in your games, for creating special missions in your games. So if you haven't applied, you should definitely go check those out. It's a great opportunity to have your first engagement with DevRel. And then also living in DevRel these days is featuring. And we're using this opportunity with featuring to give some love to some of our mid-tier devs. So we want to be able to also provide differentiated games to our players. And recently we actually featured also some old school classics like Coalesce and Time Traveler Obby. And for these, we've seen some really great uptick in player count. In some cases, over 7,000%, right? So that gives some opportunities for some airtime for these mid-tier devs that are just coming up and trending up. And also a differentiated catalog also for our end users. Education. How many of you have seen some of the online stuff going on with third-party developers, third-party programs that are putting on summer camps and after-school programs based on Roblox for learning how to code? So we have a couple people from Code Kingdom here. Raise your hands. Yeah, in the back. They're developing some curriculum online for Roblox. And then we also have people in Australia developing curriculum to deliver to schools. We have people in the US focus on delivering curriculum to after schools and summer camps. And with this kind of demand, we've been asked over and over again, what kind of content, what kind of support can you give us? But it's just terrific that people are actually envisioning and wanting to have Roblox truly as a STEM education platform. And so I'm really happy to announce that Genevieve joined specifically to create this kind of content. She's going to be creating curriculum that will, in the beginning, focus on middle school kids to get them on the Roblox platform building and coding for the first time. So we're going to give that away for free to schools, after-school programs, and summer camps. So you should be seeing an influx of new scripters and builders coming into the community as a result. We also have on my team what we now call information experience. So Laker is on this team, and so is Bakari, and Brandon, our intern, has been working in this area as well. And you can think of information experience as all of the content you need to begin your journey on the Roblox platform, to continue your journey on the Roblox platform as an advanced developer. So we're going to create a mix of content depending on your skill level and make sure that you can find what you need. So that's the kind of work that we're going to continue to do there. Laker is running a session around reaching the under 13 audience at the end of the day, but we would love to speak with you and understand what it is that you want in terms of support for that developer content. So come and find us to talk about that. And then many of you know that there was this big survey that ran in April when I joined, and it was specifically around, measuring what you have and what you feel happy with around our online developer content today. And there was actually a massive number of respondents on this, a lot more than I was expecting. It was well over 600, which is great. And we asked, hey, how much do you rely on that online developer content as you do your work? And a good 84% of you said, I use this all the time, which is fantastic. The other 16% was a variety of responses, which was, hey, I'm taking a break. I'm not actually doing anything right now, but I'm still part of the community. I mean, it was really great to see the responses were, I'm still part of the community helping, and I'm just not currently working on my own project right now. So thanks for those responses. We asked you to help us prioritize some of these areas that we're working on or want to work on for the developer side, which we currently call the wiki, but we're going to be expanding that to a much more robust developer portal. And one of the things that came back loud and clear from you guys was that you wanted a lot more advanced developer content. Now, again, this topic is super important to us. Come find me, come find Laker. We'd love to hear from you specifically what it is that you feel is a big gap around advanced developer content. What could we be fulfilling for you there? So that feedback would be super important for us to help guide us in the kind of work that we need to do around advanced developer content. And then beyond that, we have also got update announcements that you guys were asking us for. Every time we release something on the platform, you want to know, right? We haven't done a great job in telling you when we make changes on the platform today. And then close, third and fourth were around feature issue tracker and sample code. So you want more sample code, but you also want your voice heard by product engineering around the features and issues that you want on the platform. And then the very last question was sort of an open-ended question. Hey, do you have any other feedback? I've run many developer surveys. It was really fascinating to me how many people actually took the time to fill this out. So a lot of rich content here, and I read every single comment. So thank you for all of you who actually did fill this out. And the themes that I was seeing in those comments had to do with missing and insufficient API documentation, right? There were gaps in the content. It wasn't really clear what some of these APIs were supposed to do for you. Second was a lot of you had a lot of pain around access to the dev forums. You knew that that was a really rich resource for learning and support in the community, and some of you had applications with us that had been outstanding for a couple months, and you had reapplied and not heard from us, so that was a real big pain point for you in your onboarding. And then again, you reinforced lastly, update announcements. You want to know when things are changing on the platform, when we have updates to the tools. So thank you, again, for that rich collection of data. So what are we doing with all this feedback that we have? We have actually done a tremendous amount of work around the developer forums. Specifically, Carlos's team has gone through the entire backlog. We had well over 4,000 applications pending for months and months and months because we had not ramped up the team. Well over 4,000 applications pending for the developer forums. They went through the entire backlog recently. And through that, they actually allowed a couple hundred, actually well over 400 developers into the dev forum. So if you're a new member, welcome. And I'm glad you were able to get in. If you still haven't heard from us, I encourage you to reapply using the new process. That is because the old application, unfortunately, didn't give us a way in many cases to follow up with you to ask you for clarity around some of your application. So if you still want to access the dev forum, you haven't heard from us, go to the public part of the dev forum, reapply. We have an ongoing process there, so you should hear from us one way or another this time around. So thank you for your patience on that. And then what I like to call automated API docs. This issue of gaps in content, we're fixing by replatforming what we're doing there with API docs, and we're bringing that solution closer to the domain experts. And those are the engineers that are designing and implementing and publishing those APIs. We're bringing that documentation closer to them so that it's no longer an afterthought. It is part of the implementation of those APIs. So you should see a lot of improvement in terms of the APIs that we publish. And then the feature issue tracker, we're about to develop a beta that we're going to have a small group of people join us for over the next few months so that we can test and understand the needs and the workflows in that issue tracker and make sure it's appropriate for your use at scale. So we're going to continue to work on that, and you should be hearing more about that soon. And then last but not least, release announcements. I know this has been painful for many of you. I wish I had an easy answer around this particular problem. We have a very complex deployment method which includes on-off switches for each feature at the production level. So that's individually controlled. We're working actively with product and engineering to understand how to include ourselves into that process and understand when things are coming in and when those features are being turned on so that we can proactively tell you. Now today, when we do know, we actually will publish those in the forums. I know some of you guys have seen some of our announcements there. It's not as thorough as we would like, but we are working actively to get there. So thanks for your patience on that while we do that. And on your community requests today, even though we don't have that public issue tracker right now, we are actually culling through a lot of the feedback that is in the forums. So we're actually going through those threads and picking those up. And we are actually combining that with the feedback we get in our top dev program. And this is just a quick snapshot of what we have as the highest priorities. This is not the entire backlog of issues and features that we're working on. This is just the highest ones. And this process was set up in April, around the time that I joined. And this is something that we work in partnership with product and engineering to understand the features that people are asking for and prioritizing the ones that product engineering actually work on. And in this short time period, they've actually made a tremendous amount of progress, right? So you guys have seen Color Brick 3 released in this time frame, particle emitter released in this time frame. We're also continuing to make improvements on data stores, right? Better error messages, better documentation, and improving data source features in general. So just a snapshot of what's going on. We are actively doing that in lieu of having the public issue tracker, and that will all go into the public feature issue tracker going forward. Now, DevX, since the last RDC, we've had a huge amount of progress. Many of you have seen that in December of last year, we released an additional payment method for you called Tipalti, right? Tipalti we offered because we knew that PayPal was painful for some of you, and you needed something different than PayPal, so this is an additional option for many of you that works better. Second, we also increased the exchange rate back in March. That exchange rate value was increased the value by 40%. 40% increase in value is huge. And then in May, we also increased the caps in which you could cash out. We increased it so high, the highest level that you can cash out today is equivalent to almost $1 million. So you could cash out $1 million when you get there. And then last but not least, we know that some of you have been sitting in a DevX queue for some time, and it takes many weeks sometimes to cash out, and that's not fun. But we are actively looking at fixing that. In fact, we've staffed that up. We are looking at the process with finance. Finance has been overhauling that process, and in particular, they're looking at if you have been a DevXer before, you've cashed out before, we know who you are, we're going to make that a lot more efficient for you. So that should be a much shorter cycle going forward. And then if you are a new DevXer, even if you're a new DevXer, that shouldn't take weeks and weeks. They are making that also an efficient process for even new DevXers. So that's been a lot of information. And when I put this slide together originally, I thought, God, $1 million, being able to cash out $1 million, that's such wonderful news. And then, of course, Dave came to his keynote and said, we've got people on track for 2 million and 3 million. So he had even bigger news in San Jose, which is fantastic. But really grok that you guys can actually have this opportunity to cash out at that level, right? That this is cumulatively what some of your peers are getting ready to be able to cash out at. That's a huge number, right? Huge opportunity. So really the question for you is, which one of you is next, right, for that kind of big success? And we have this event, and we're rolling out programs, and we're putting out more content on the dev site, specifically to help you get there. If I were to go back into my career, if this were here in my early career, this is exactly where I would be. I would be coding away. I would be building teams here on the Roblox platform and making $1 million. This is what I would do if I were starting my career over again. So we're here to help you. Thank you for being here. I am so proud of what I see every day in this community. I think that you guys are phenomenal. And I have seen many, many developer communities. I just have to say how really, genuinely impressed I am by the extraordinary things that you are publishing every day and the kinds of fans, the fans that you guys have. It's absolutely incredible. So you guys should be proud of that as well. Thank you. I hope you got a great conference. I look forward to speaking with you soon.
The light that no one can see, dust is in the air, and there's a mysterious gust of iridescent breeze. Never seen the sky so starry, I can see the world so clearly. Didn't think that I'd uncover another world.
All right, everyone, we're going to take a quick break. So go ahead and stand up, stretch your legs, and we'll be back shortly.
ruins. There's glisten, a light that no one can see. Dust is in the air, and there's a mysterious gust of iridescent breeze. Never seen the sky so starry. I can see the world so clearly. Didn't think that I'd uncover another world that's undiscovered. Now you wandered into this place, realize it's my secret space. Paths across the time will slowly drift away. When it's time to stand alone, the spirit softly whisk away. Now the stars are spoken and there's nothing that we can do. Once in a lifetime, there's a chance that we change everything. Find the footsteps from the past, and I can't help but wonder if this world is sacred to me. To me. Bright lights caught me now. Red signs like holy night, towering, can't stop me now. My flight brought me back down. Landscapes a perfect hell. But if I can, I'll say a little prayer. Heaven, don't shoot me down, 'cause I see it. Heaven, don't shoot me down, 'cause I need it. Heaven, don't shoot me down, 'cause I see it. Heaven, don't shoot me down. Heaven, don't shoot me down. High five for. Won't let this fear take over my life. Not anymore. Trust in me. Love me. Open up your heart and let our love begin. Trust in me and let me in. Love me. Love me. Spoil me. Love me. Spoil me. Spoil me. Trust in me. Love me. Open up your heart and let our love begin. Trust in me and let me in. Talk to me, baby. Tell me I'm yours. What was once in your heart is now on the floor. And I just need you to connect, 'cause I am losing my mind. I've been waiting all along, but now you're out of time. This bed is filled with bodies, no emotion inside. And I feel nothing, but we're lying side by side. Kiss me like you mean it, even if you don't. I need to feel something, feel something. I need to feel something, feel something. 'Cause I'm all alone. Like powder from a gun, you shot me, I'm the one. But I can't take this anymore, so watch me walk out that door. This bed is filled with bodies, no emotion inside. And I feel nothing, though we're lying side by side. Kiss me like you mean it, even if you don't. I need to feel something, feel something. I need to feel something, 'cause I'm all Save me now. Save me now. 'Cause you're the only one who can keep me from going. Tomorrow you'll get a taste of your medicine. Tomorrow I'll disappear. Tomorrow I'm gonna lose myself with the rest of my dreams. Tomorrow, and by the time that I'm gone, maybe then you'll notice me. By the time that I'm gone, maybe then you'll without you I'm drifting. Give me time. I need some more. Our story's only beginning. Tomorrow you'll get a taste of your medicine. Tomorrow I'll disappear. Tomorrow I'm gonna lose myself with the rest of my dreams. Tomorrow, and by the time that I'm gone, maybe then you'll notice me. I know it's easy to get lost in yesterday, to bring back all these things. I know you love them, I know you love them, but I know that I can try again to
Unless you want to learn.
All right, everyone, we're going to be moving on with a couple more exciting talks here, so if you can make your way back to your seats, that would be greatly appreciated as we are going to continue on the day. Coming up next here, we've got an exciting engineering talk, and this is the stuff you guys have been waiting for. So first to talk to you guys is a senior platform engineering director. Goes by the name of Isaiah. And Isaiah, what is your username on Roblox? Ostrich Size. Perhaps you guys know him. has ostracized, but to us, he's Isaiah. So he's going to tell you more about some of the cool engineering and tech going on the platform. So without further ado, let's welcome Isaiah.
Let's get the crowd energized here a little bit by giving a shout out to Jay Party. I'm just going to invoke his name, Jay Party. Awesome. So as Justin said, I'm Isaiah. I'm a senior engineering director on the platform team. Today I will be giving a presentation on Roblox, the developers platform, on behalf of Keith Lucas, our chief product officer. So I wanted to do a couple things today. I want to talk a little bit about some of our growth milestones over the last year. 2016, 2017 was a pretty good year for Roblox as a platform, as well as the developer community, you guys. And then I wanted to give some insight, a little bit of some hints, and just some perspective on the vision that we have for new growth opportunities for you guys. Before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about when I got involved with Roblox I started talking to Dave in 2010 during my interview. I met with a handful of the team, old school team, John Shidletsky and those guys. And I started in early 2011, and the peak concurrent players at that time, my first week, was 33,000. And it seemed like a lot. I think there's probably half a dozen games on Roblox that have a higher peak concurrent player right now, probably this week. So we've come a long way. At that time, it was a very different product. Dave still had a very bold vision, but we were looking at ourselves kind of as user-generated content, sort of building game, starting to toy with this idea of are we a game, are we a platform, trying to figure it out, a little bit of an identity crisis. At the time, there were a lot of features that we have now that we didn't have then, smooth terrain, water, I think teleports. And every day when we would come in, we'd make decisions, we had this sort of trade-off between the gameplay and the platform play. And we were definitely moving toward platform, but we were making a lot of the content. We were making our own games. We were making event games. We made some standalone titles. And there was always a little bit of a temptation to go in the gameplay direction because there was more immediate payoff, whereas platform was like this more long-term vision. But I think we made the right decision. Obviously, I think the right decision for everyone here, moving in the platform direction, really embracing it. And so what this presentation is, it's really our guarantee, our commitment to empower you guys, the creative engine, the people driving the content on Roblox, driving the community, really powering the imagination of our players. So to kick it off, as mentioning some of those features that we didn't have when I started, one of them was the ability for developers to monetize their game in a more meaningful way. At the time, you could monetize for a free currency, you could monetize for Robux, but you couldn't actually pull real-world currency out. So that is a change. So here are some numbers, and I don't want to focus too much on the financials of it, but numbers are fun, and financial numbers are fun, especially when they're going up. So we can look at some of these. This is year-over-year numbers from May 2016 to May 2017. It's a good year. So number of games getting 1 million plus visits doubled. The amount of Robux earned per developer effectively doubled. And this third bullet point here, you've been hearing it from us over and over, and you'll continue to hear it from us more. Mobile, mobile, mobile. So the share of mobile and console earners from DevX has also doubled over that time. And the total Robux earned has basically tripled. That's kind of a proxy measure for the vitality of the economy in general, like how many Robux are moving through the platform. So again, not to focus too much on the financials, but I do think that these numbers look really good, and they show sort of a proxy for the overall health and vitality of the Roblox ecosystem. Cool. So with those, we had a big increase in cash out. Average cash out basically tripled. You can see a large jump there in March. That is two things. We increased the limit for how much you could take out at once. We also improved the ratio in developers' favor. So that's reflected there. This third bullet point is pretty exciting, I think. Devs in Europe now account for 28% of cash out, up from 19%. Who here is from Europe? Show of hands. A lot of you guys. So this is a nice little bit for you. Cool. So alongside of those nice growth milestones that we hit, I guess I should have mentioned earlier, started 33K peak concurrent players this year, over 1 million. Awesome. A lot of growth over that 7-year span. A lot of names up here, many of whom you know. Grace just presented. You probably know Justin, Deepak. Deepak, slaves, blood, sweat, and tears for you guys. He is your champion. Mostly tears, but a lot of all three. And so what this slide really is, this represents Roblox's commitment to you. We are staffing up specific teams, specific individuals that are there just for you. They are there to execute on your needs, your ideas, suggestions, the way that you need the platform to move to execute on your creative vision. That's what these people are here for. So by ramping up, adding an additional 3 members of product, having a dedicated engineering team both on the web and in Lua, staffing out the dev relations team, all of this stuff shows our commitment to executing on your guys' vision and fulfilling what you need. There's a weekly meeting that Deepak hosts where he's collecting feedback from the Incubator and Accelerator programs on exactly what you guys need out of the platform. And our vision here is that everyone in this room leaves, they have a name, 2 names, 3 names, people they know personally that they feel like they can reach out to with their ideas, their suggestions, their needs, their issues, and they feel like they have a champion at Roblox HQ, and they can get that executed on. So let's actually give it a shout out to these guys real quick. Justin, Deepak, the DevRel team, Dev Services. Cool. So I guess that's a lot of talk if we're not actually working on anything. So these slides are a little bit more about the team that we had, what they've done in the last year, a little bit of insight into what you guys can expect moving forward. Obviously, Roblox is pushing really hard on mobile. A lot of our data and the trends suggest that that's our fastest growing area. I think it's half of all gameplays now are on either phone, tablet, or console. And the relative portion, like the growth rate for those 3 combined, is faster than the growth rate on desktop. So more and more, that's the direction that things are going in. So it's our job as the platform to make things easier for you to create cross-platform UIs. And a lot of that comes down to, and I know this has been a pain point for many of you for a while now, a lot of it comes down to layouts and constraints. So I want to make an analogy to the early days of phone browsers before continuing here. So when the first browser-enabled smartphones came out, web developers didn't really know what to do, right? Up until this time, there was a computer, nice big screen, pretty consistent aspect ratio. You could make a web page that was 970 pixels wide, and it was like, you're golden, right? Suddenly a phone comes along, much smaller, on-screen controls, you can't click, like, okay, what do we do with these things? people kind of, I don't know if they panicked necessarily, but they're like, okay, just fork the code. There's a mobile website, there's a desktop website. Over the years, they realized that this was maybe not as elegant of a solution as we could come up with. It's easy to introduce regressions because you have two code bases that you're supporting. Feature parity might not be there, as okay, now we have to double every feature that we work on. And so responsive frameworks started becoming more and more popular, things like Bootstrap. And that really enabled people to move much faster, more sure-footedly, and have a single code base that served multiple devices. And so we are basically extending that analogy and that insight into the 3D world using our Lua engine. And so some of the things that we've added in that vein, our grid design, or our grid layout, or list layout, this will basically, as the screen resolution expands or contracts, it'll shuffle in. And I don't want to steal too much of my own thunder. I'm presenting in more detail on this later at the cross-platform talk, so show up. We also added list and table layouts and constraints, and so there's a couple examples. And then next up for this will be a UI editor. Also along these lines are the top requests. So this is where Deepak's blood, sweat, and tears pay off. He basically collects these. He advocates for them. The entire DevRel team advocates for these within product. We work out what these features are going to look like and then execute against them. And then here are some of the requests that we achieved in 2016 to 17 and some that we're currently working on now. So obviously we used to have a very limited color palette, and we've opened that up to a full space. We added trail effects. Super awesome. If you guys have seen any of the work that your colleagues are doing with this, it's very cool. I expect this to have as much traction as maybe particle effects or even dynamic lighting, like one of those really just blockbuster features that we've released over the recent years. Footsteps on snow, super immersive, like a lot of potential here. Data store improvements, NPC multiplayer GUIs, a lot of refinement here. Improving the toolbox search, that one's, we've made some improvements. It's ongoing as well. And then currently in progress are pathfinding and group teleports. Who here wants group teleports? Okay, a couple of people really excited, a couple of people reasonably excited. All right. So just wait for the, oh, look at that portrait mode. Who's excited about portrait mode? Anyone? A couple people. More people should be excited about that. It's if you look at the context that people are playing mobile games in, they're much more casual. They're much more mobile, incidentally. But so if you're on a train and you're holding on to the railing, you're on the tube or whatever, you've only got that one hand. And if you just observe, you go to a park or something, a public space where people are on their mobile phones, you'll see a lot of this, right? And part of making good games, part of making engaging games, is leveraging both the strengths of the platform, but also the natural tendencies of the players. And on a mobile device, people kind of expect this casual one-finger interaction. Portrait mode enables that. You can't reach across the phone if you're in landscape. So here are some of the features that we're adding that will help you guys execute on improved mobile gameplay. A big part of this is performance, the memory analyzer. I'm not sure how many people have checked that out, but it's pretty cool. The longer-term vision there is that you could emulate any of the top popular devices in a more realistic performance setting where we'll constrain the actual memory and the actual frame rate and all of that. At a top developer studio, they just have piles of devices. And I know that that's probably cost prohibitive for a lot of indies. All right. So here are a couple of the top games using these new features, portrait mode, dynamic thumbstick. If you guys aren't leveraging these features, you should know that your colleagues are, and that the direction that things are trending with more and more people being pushed toward mobile, they're going to have a leg up. So at least explore and stay abreast of the landscape. You don't have to go whole hog yet, but you should definitely be aware and start interacting with these features. Xbox. So this is awesome. First of all, Xbox is basically, the Roblox Xbox app has been pegged at like the top free Xbox slot for the entire year. Super exciting. And I think that this is a testament to a couple things. I think it's a testament to the Roblox vision of having the Lua engine, the core gameplay engine, as the application shell across multiple platforms. That's us trying to write a single code base and being able to ship it anywhere. The same way with the responsive UIs, the way we're trying to steer you guys in the direction of not forking your code, of having a single code base that can run across multiple platforms. We're doing the same thing with our Lua engine, and it's been quite successful in the Xbox. The other thing that really excites me about Xbox is, so I was involved, I worked at a game studio back in the early 2000s, a long time ago. Very different landscape. We shipped a physical disc to stores. It was weird. But the barrier to entry at that time for a console title was immense. We actually had to go through a due diligence process before we could even get a developer kit. So we had to show that we had enough sort of brain trust on our team, the industry veterans, before they would give us the SDKs and all that to work on console titles. Then there's an expensive and time-consuming approval process, and the whole thing, front to back, is really cumbersome. What the Xbox app and Studio enable you to do is publish a title to console in 5 minutes. So you basically open Studio, you save, you publish, you select Xbox, and you're there. That used to be a multi-month, required to be a AAA studio process. So I think seeing that and sort of understanding the history and knowing that story, this is really powerful and really exciting to me. And part of what enabled that is this UDC full developer access. And then in addition to that, some security improvements, faster, smoother, higher quality. We're really doubling down on improving the Lua C++ bridge. The more that we push in the direction of running our application shell as Lua, the more that you'll see improvements in those core APIs and improvements in the overall engine that you guys can leverage and benefit from as well. A couple other features here, Infinite Game Grid, working on cross-platform play. That's a business development thing that we're working on with Microsoft. They're going to allow us to open up so that PC, mobile will be able to play with console players at the same time. And we also are working on a full avatar editor. And then this last bullet point here is kind of interesting in a year of expansion. So we're now in over 30 countries on Xbox. So international. This should probably be exciting to you guys too. Who here lives not in the United States? Show of hands. Fair number of you. Nice. Awesome. So over the last year, we basically have been doing some stuff behind the scenes. We've been geographically distributing our game servers. We have been integrating ping and latency measurements and fine-tuning how that behaves within our matchmaking system, so which servers you get joined to. And the idea of fully embracing internationalization, localization in terms of language translation, payment providers, all of that, it's an idea that's been kicked around and we had a false start on several years back, but now we are maybe doubling or tripling down on it. We have staff, we have product support, we have a full engineering team support, both on the client and the engine, as well as on the web and for the mobile apps. And we're really going to be pushing on it this year. And I think it represents a lot of exciting opportunity for you guys. So one of the things that we're planning on doing is having separate game sorts by country, which makes sense. Not everyone from every country. Like, there are cultural differences that lend certain types of gameplay. They make it exciting to different cultures versus other people. So every sort by every country is going to be an opportunity to peg the top list, right? We expect that there will be a lot of the core IP that represent Roblox across those different lists, and we expect that there will be some that are really dedicated to the culture of that country that will get to those lists as well. But much like we did with the mobile and tablet versions years back, where it's like, oh, here's like a mobile sort, here's a tablet sort, we'll now have countries weighing in on that, and that gives you guys a lot more opportunity, another competitive dimension, I guess. And the idea here, as always with Roblox, we want to build once and then have it just work across the board everywhere. So you can build it once, it ships everywhere. You guys don't have to worry. Your games will run in the data centers in any country. They'll be localized. We want to give you the ability to auto-translate, but also have the control if you want to either crowdsource by having your players translate, or you have your own professional translation that you upload. Basically, have a single binary, a single build that's not forked that you guys can deliver to us one time, and it goes everywhere. And with that, I'll wrap up. I want to say thanks to not only the developer community, but the Roblox community as a whole. You guys are great. Thank you so much. Do I just leave?
We got one more.
Oh.
You want to introduce him?
I don't think so.
Oh, well, then you're great, man. Thank you. All right, everyone. We've got one more exciting announcement this morning. Actually, no more announcements. We're done with those. We're going to have lunch after one more speaker. And I'm very excited about this next presenter. Internally, his title is Senior Engineering Director of Awesomeness. That's a true story. And he's going to tell you how your dreams become a reality, a digital reality. So let's give it up for Arseny, or as you know him, Zug CG. Welcome to the stage, Arseny.
All right. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here again. Great to see all of you. Good party last night, and it's nice to see people and be like, oh yeah, we met 2 years ago in London, and then we met last year at RDC US, and then here again. So super excited. I want to tell you guys a bit of what we have been working on the client studio teams, or what we call game engine and tools. So let me talk a bit about what's the overarching goal here. So the overarching goal here is we build the technology and you build the games. So what we want the games to look like on the platform is it should be 3D, because we think 3D is ultimately just more powerful than 2D. And it should be amazing. It should be as good as you guys can possibly make it, and we want to give you the tools to do that. So I want to talk a bit about the 4 key areas that we are focusing on: performance, immersion, tools, and controls. So let's start with performance. So we have been talking about this for a while. We will be talking about this for a while more. We want to be more and more mobile, more and more authentically mobile. So the challenge is mobile platforms are fundamentally less powerful, so they are slower, they have not as much memory. I'm sure some of you guys who have these great, amazing, big games with a lot of complexity, a lot of detail, and then we come to you and we're like, yeah, can you make it work on iPhone 4? And you're like, no. So ultimately, your goal should be to get as much audience as you can. To reach that goal, you have to be on as many platforms as you can possibly be and on as many devices as you can possibly be. So we want to help you with that by making the platform better, by making the code faster, by making everything take less memory, And this enables you to build better games, and also this enables you to spend less time on porting your games on like iPhone 4. The ultimate objective is you make a game and then you just run it on iPhone 4. So with some games it does work right now, with some games it doesn't. So we are trying to increase the amount of games that can just run. So there's a secret about performance that a lot of people don't know. So the only way to achieve good performance is to relentlessly drive at it and do small things, one thing at a time. And then you optimize 10%, and then 10% more, and then 10% more. And then you do this like 50 times in a row, and suddenly it's a 10x improvement. So we are trying to do that, and we've been trying to do this for the last, I don't know, many years. The interesting shift recently has been for your game to actually run on a mobile phone, it has to fit in the mobile memory budget, which is kind of small by the desktop standards. So we've spent a lot of time to go over individual small pieces of the system and optimize everything that we can out of it. Or when I say everything, I mean like maybe half of it, and then half of it is coming after that. So those of you who use mesh parts have been recently optimized to be much, much more memory efficient. So use them more. Animation data is smaller. And in general, like as you can see, there's improvements in memory consumption across the board. So hopefully this means that next time Deepak talks to you and is like, does your game run on iPhone 4? You will be like, yes. So I've joined Roblox 5 years ago. One of the first projects that I worked on Roblox is, back then, it was the new part rendering system, or AKA featherweight parts, and there are some other names. So it works generally pretty well, but there are some not well parts about it that some of you are experiencing, so you can blame me for that. Some of you have these levels where there's like a bit complex level and there's something, some object there, and you're trying to resize the part with like a script, and suddenly you see frame spikes, and like, what's going on? I did not expect that. Some of you use mesh parts, and you have like, I've been told yesterday, a bowling pin, and you have like 30 of those, and then the ball breaks them, and suddenly there's a frame spike. So all of this is a problem for the user, and it's a problem for you because you are trying to make a good game, and you are forced to simplify some parts of your game to make it actually run well. So we're working on the new system, the new system. The big highlights are we are trying to eliminate all of the cost of the property update for parts on the rendering side. So like size changing, color changing, all of that, it should be basically free, or as much time as it takes to do from Lua. And one other big thing that our current system doesn't do is if you have a lot of mesh parts or CSG parts that are the same, they actually currently don't share memory. And remember, the current system was built 5 years ago. We did not have CSG. We did not have meshes back then. So it was a different landscape. So the new system should address all that, and we are working on it. We were trying to launch it, a first version of it, multiple times. There's always some issues. So, but the first version will be out in hopefully next month. But we are starting with just mesh parts and CSGs. And every other type of part will follow later. And in general, we are driving hard on the performance of pretty much everything. So we are working hard on mobile. We shipped Metal. Metal is a low-level rendering API that Apple provides. We shipped it on iOS earlier this year, and we are shipping this on Mac this week. We are working on Android performance as well. And in general, there's like a lot of optimizations across the board. One thing I want to highlight that we are planning to do, some of you have a lot of UI in your game. Some of you have a lot of 2D UI, or maybe it's a lot of Surface GUI objects around the world. Currently, there are some performance issues, or the more UI objects you have in your game, the slower the game is, right? And on some level, it makes sense, but we want to unlock the power of being able to have very, very large, complex UIs without much performance impact. So we will be working on an update later this year where if you don't change a screen GUI, or like if you don't change any elements within a screen GUI or a surface GUI, then rendering this UI element is basically free, or as free as it can get. So really excited about that because we now see after all of these performance improvements in like smooth terrain and part rendering, we are actually seeing UI sometimes becoming a bottleneck, so that will be fixed. So as Isaiah mentioned, we are starting to use Lua more ourselves, but also we see developers use Lua to sometimes extreme amounts of time. So there is like one interesting example, which is Phantom Forces, where there is a custom, semi-custom like physics engine running in Lua, and there's all of these bullet trails, and there's custom simulation for that. There's particle systems that don't use our particle systems. They use UI for some reason. And all of this is in Lua, and all of this is sort of slow, right? So the best advice for performance in Roblox in general is leverage our systems as much as possible. However, sometimes you want to go outside of the bounds that our systems provide you, and you want to work more in Lua. So we're working on making Lua faster. We're working on making the Lua itself faster, and also the C++ part and all of the connections between them. So a lot of advancements there. Across the board, this is live on all games. You don't have to do anything. There were some posts on developer forum a few months back with some details, and we have actually a blog post with some technical details for some of you who are interested in how Lua works and how our engine works with Lua. So check that out. So that concludes the part of the presentation about performance. It doesn't really conclude the performance work that we are doing. This was just the highlights. So now let me talk a bit about immersion. So I want a show of hands of who joined Roblox in 2006 or 7. All right. So the next slide is for you. So this is how Roblox looked in 2006. And interestingly, so I joined in 2012. There are elements of this picture I recognize, like the mouse cursor was my favorite part up until we changed it. I think you can also see, so the characters here are look stationary. This is because there was no animations at all. Like the limbs did not move. The characters just kind of hovered around the level. But, I mean, it still worked. It was a platform. There were games on it. People played these games. Obviously, a lot has changed since then. So this is a screenshot from last year. And there's some new features here. There's smooth terrain. There's post effects. There's water. In general, that's like a better build. And the characters look nicer now because of R15. We want to enable you to build these kinds of experiences as opposed to the other kinds of experiences. But ultimately, we can't stop here, right? So maybe in the next 2 years, the games will look even better. Maybe they'll look like this. This is actually a screenshot of Roblox from the Future is Bright prototype that I'll talk a bit about later. And this is kind of what we want. We want to unlock you to be able to build anything that you want and to be able for this content to look as good as it can possibly look on the user's device, right? And this is a large part of what we are working on. There's a lot of features that try to enable these kinds of builds. So there are some things that we have already shipped. So we shipped particle lighting. Particle lighting is basically an ability for light objects to interact with particles and to light them up. This went live, I think, a couple of months ago. It just means that basically the goal here is this. So there is this 3D world, and every object has to interact with every other object close to how it interacts in reality. So if there's a particle system and there's a light object, obviously it should be lit. And if there are other types of objects that don't currently have lighting information, that also should be fixed. And then after the particles shipped, we said, well, what about GUIs? Some of you have a lot of 3D GUIs, and they can look weird because there's all of these lights, and the GUIs don't interact with them. So we fixed that as well. And all of this is developer controlled. So all of the features that we are doing in the last few years are basically designed to make your levels look better, but you can always opt out of these features. So there is always a property. In this case, there's like light influence property on all of these objects that you can set to 0, and then there's lights don't work. All of these doesn't apply retroactively to existing content, because we didn't want your existing game to suddenly look differently. So you have to enable this in each property, in each object's property. So trail effects is really, really big. It's interesting that it came as a community request, but also from some internal feedback. And it's such an obvious thing, I think, that we missed. But the amount of power that it gives you guys is really big. So you guys have seen these snow footsteps. There is a lot of use for bullet trails. And in general, I mean, this is so simple to add to your games, and this makes your games that much better and that much more lively. Like, it's no longer a boring moving object. Now there's a moving object with a very exciting trail behind it. So this was the rendering updates. Let's talk a bit about networking. So all of the games in Roblox are client-server, and there's some issues with that. There's a lot of latency that you have to the server, and sometimes the physics suffers because of this. One example is right now, if you have a bunch of constraints that are lined up into a mechanism, then there's not really a good interpolation of these constraints. And you can see jittery movement, especially if there's a trail at the end of one of the objects. You can see this jitteriness highlighted really clearly. So we're working on a project where it will automatically be smoothed out. So regardless of the complexity of your mechanism, parts should move fluidly. Also, on that front, I'm sure everybody here who has played Roblox games experienced characters doing roughly what the block at the current screenshot is doing. Also, this is a GIF with a very choppy frame rate. It actually looks, the bottom image actually looks better. The top image doesn't actually look better. Nothing can save it. So there are some issues with the just part interpolation. This specifically is highlighted on player movement a lot. You see these players walking around Roblox levels, and suddenly the player stops. Or maybe the player stops, but the hands still move, hands and feet still move. And then it like teleports 10 stats forward. So this is our interpolation system not doing a good job at interpolating player movement, and we are trying to do a better job at this. So we have a system, it has been in like very, very, very limited beta testing. It's been on like 1 or 2 games for the last month or so, and we are fixing some performance issues with that and trying to roll it out to the larger ecosystem so that it's available in all games. Now, physics. So I think in physics, we did a lot of work in general on immersion from the standpoint of there's all these new constraints that you can use. There's the new physics engine. You can build a lot of amazing stuff. At RDC Game Jam US 2 weeks ago, I think more than half of the entries used physics gameplay with constraints, which is kind of cool. We want to enable these kinds of experiences. What we don't want, though, is things like the humanoid is moving forward and suddenly they fall. They didn't do anything, nothing hit them, they just fell. Or you go next to a wall, you turn, and then you are flung to the right with extreme force. So stability is the main focus of our physics team right now. There is an effort that's been going on for the past few months. We are experimenting with some different approaches to solving complicated physics systems. There are some numerical issues, etc. So we want to fix all of the stability issues. And we want to make it so that everything in Roblox, no matter how complex the physics mechanism works, it just works. There's this game that a member of the community built where there's a bunch of small parts, and you have to walk over a pile of small parts to the end. And there's a kill brick at the top, and the objective is to not die. And because of the instabilities in the humanoid physics right now, the humanoid can easily be flung to the brick and die. So we generally don't like breaking games, but this game is the one that we'll be very happy to break so that there is no instabilities whatsoever in humanoid physics. So now let's talk about tools. A lot of you use Roblox engine to have your game use these specific features, and this is what the player sees. But probably all of your time is spent within the studio ecosystem. And there's a bunch of efforts in that space that allows you to build content better, faster, and to build better content. So new CSG engine. I think I promised last year at RDC US that we are working on the new CSG engine, but I think last year I said soon TM. So I have good news. Soon TM is actually soon, and it's almost now. So there is a new CSG engine that we're working on. It is live right now as a beta option in Studio. You can go to Studio settings. It's like in physics, use CSG v2. It's a beta. It has some bugs. And also there's still a triangle limit. So if you union 10,000 bricks together, it will tell you that you can do that. However, besides that, and also besides bugs that we are willing to fix and that we will fix, it should be 100% reliable. So like the union is unsolvable error with the new engine should never appear. And if it does, it's a bug and we'll fix it. The other interesting part about this is really robust, and it's somewhat faster than the new system before we did any optimization work on it. The goal of this is to eventually expose this as an API in-game so that you can go to Lumber Tycoon and instead of doing whatever default is doing there where like the trees are just disassembled as bricks, you can swing your axe and you can say, well, I have this plane that I want to cut this tree with in real time, and then the tree splits into two objects, and it just works. So this is the eventual goal. We're not there yet, but we are almost there with the new CSG engine being live in Studio for all users. So help us test the beta, report bugs on developer forum, talk to me if you find any bugs here. And we have a lot of bug fixes from the initial round of testing that we did that will ship next week or maybe the week after. So talked a bit about data source already. The key part is reliability. So better error messages, less failures. We identified a lot of critical edge cases in our code that meant your data sometimes wasn't saved, and these are all fixed. And we are working on transparent retries. So a lot of you have experienced this moment where you write data store code, it's awesome, it works, then you launch your game, there's the first like 1,000 users, and then suddenly 10 of them lost the data. This is because you did not put error handling logic in your code. So you still should put error handling logic in your code, but we want to make it very exceptional that you have to use that by improving the reliability within our own systems. And there will be way more visibility for all of the data store activity in the future in Dev Console. You will be able to open a tab in Dev Console, and it will tell you these are your requests and these are your throttle rates. UI editor. Somehow, we never had an option to edit UIs in Studio with actual tools before this year. I'm not really sure exactly how that happened, but we have fixed that. So there's now UI editor in Studio. You can select objects, you can move them, you can resize them. It's kind of basic functionality, but it probably makes UI creation like twice as easy. And we're working on a lot more updates on that space. There's more advanced tools, and then there's also interactions with the layouts. Like I want to take this object and drag it into the list layout or like page layout, and it should automatically snap there and should just look right. So once again, the first version is live for all users. Welcome the feedback. Please tell us what works, what doesn't. So as I mentioned, memory is a big part of the reliability story in Roblox games. And one part of this is, well, we want to make our own technology better. And I talked a bit about that before. The other part is you might want to optimize your game. So the problem is your game doesn't run on iPhone 4. You look at your game, it runs on PC. What do you do next? Like, what should you change in your game so that it runs better? So there's a new project called Memory Analyzer where in Studio and also in all clients in Dev Console, there is now a categorization of all of the memory types that you use in your games. Like, this is how much memory you use for parts, and this is how much memory you use for textures, and this is all of the physics data. And there is good wiki documentation for all of this, and it's intended to let you take charge and solve the problems in your own game without waiting on us to improve the technology, and also to tell us, hey, it's kind of weird. I have this game that doesn't use much terrain or something, but terrain takes a third of the memory. What's up with that? And then we'll be like, well, okay, there's a weird edge case. We did not anticipate this. Let us fix that. In fact, a lot of the memory improvements that I have showed earlier are basically existing games, some of the top games that had memory issues, and we looked at them and we said, well, this is an obvious thing that we can fix and make everybody's games better. So use it. Talk to us if you have memory problems in your games. And this tool is designed to both help you and help us develop our technology. Toolbox search. So how many of you have, when you started on Roblox, how many of you have inserted free models from Toolbox? All right. Please keep your hand raised if you enjoyed the experience. All right, some of you did. So this is great. However, a lot of people have this experience with Toolbox where you insert something, it doesn't work. Or like, it's kind of worse, you search for a tree and it gives you a car. Or you search for a car and it gives you just a wheel. And like, what is even going on here? So we have worked on the search algorithms to increase the relevance and also to increase the quality of the filtering so that when you insert a model, there's now a much higher probability that this model is actually referring to what you have searched for and is actually working. And we are working on a lot more updates in this space, and some of you probably don't care about it as much now, because, I mean, there's a stigma against free models, so yeah, Toolbox is broken, I will never use it. How dare you use a free model in your game? What is wrong with you? However, I think it's really important for developers who started Roblox to have this catalog of working things available to them. But also, the longer we go, I think the more there will be demand for working Toolbox, even within mid-tier developers or maybe even top-tier developers. Like, if there is a working tree in Toolbox, why don't you just insert this tree into your game and then maybe customize it a bit to make it yours and ship the game? So device simulation, as I talked a bit about that, I want to highlight the big thing that currently doesn't work. So you can test your game on all of these different devices. However, there is this increasing mobile focus, and there's some mobile gestures that are currently possible to emulate. Like the default movement scheme has this jump button and the movement, I don't know, button, whatever. So when you have a mobile device and you have two hands, you can move forward and jump at the same time. In Studio, you have a mouse. You have just one mouse. Some of you may have two, but most have one. You can't really click these two buttons with one mouse at the same time. It's kind of impossible. And there's some other stuff like that, like pinch to zoom and some other gestures. And if you are developing your game with a mobile first or mobile focus paradigm, then you want to test these kinds of behaviors in your game. So we'll be thinking about ways to unlock in these more advanced input options in Studio, in the emulator, so that you don't have to run your game on a mobile device every time. And last but not least, let's talk a bit about the controls. So we are moving more and more to this world where every feature is A, disableable in the game, B, controllable. So there is this like light influence. You can disable it, you can enable it, you can go halfway, and this applies to a lot of other systems that we have. We did a bunch of updates to parts recently. I think a lot of you might be excited for the smaller minimum part size. It used to be 0.2 stats, now it's 0.05 stats. So the question is, it's like a single number. The single number has been there since 2005. Like, what's up? Why did it take 10 years for Roblox to change the small minimum part size? Well, one thing that's still very important to us is making sure that all options in Studio, all like sizes of parts, all values of all objects, are as consistent and as robust as possible. There are some really scary precision issues with small parts when you go to like 0.01 stat or lower. Physics completely breaks down, rendering breaks down, networking breaks down sometimes. So we want to go slow and careful, and we worked a bit on physics stability, and then after that work has been done, we said, okay, let's unlock the part size a bit more. Same story with color 3. So you now have a lot more colors to play with in your builds. And we had to do some optimizations to make it actually not impact join time, but otherwise it's available for you in-game. You still have the palette. I personally still use the palette because I can't really pick colors, but those of you who can pick colors that are better than the default 128 are welcome to use it. And collision groups, the most common feature request for the characters, I think, over the last 3 years has been how do I disable collisions between players? The answer is you can, but it's really hard. You have to do these weird tricks where you set can collide false in a script. It runs in a specific part of the frame. There were like 3 people who could do that, and everybody else copied their code. If you asked me to write that code, I probably wouldn't be able to. So there's a new feature that addresses this use case and a lot more, which is collision groups. It currently does not have a user-friendly UI in Studio. We'll be working on this later. But it allows you to say, this is a player, and this is a vehicle, and players collide with vehicles, but players do not collide with players. And it's kind of straightforward to set up if you know Lua. It's totally not straightforward to set up if you don't know Lua, but we'll be addressing that with Studio UI updates in the future. So portrait mode is awesome. Let's talk a bit more about pathfinding. So how many of you have tried to use pathfinding service? All right, awesome. How many of you use click to move in your games? Man, all right. So, turns out when you're on the phone and you have one hand, we have this dynamic thumbstick scheme that you can use, but also what's really easy to do in some games, especially the games that have a more of the isometric camera, is you can just tap and the character moves there. The only way how this can work well is if there's good pathfinding. So we have a pathfinding system now. It has some problems. It uses really coarse voxels. It's accurate to 4 studs. If you have a wall that's 1 stud thick, it may say, well, I think I can go through that wall, and then the character gets stuck there forever. It's reasonably inefficient memory-wise, and there's some other issues with that. So some developers have built custom navigation systems in Lua. Some people have built plugins where you say, I can move to this zone, and I can't move to that zone, and writing custom pathfinding code in Lua. And then if you destroy a wall in your game, then suddenly your custom pathfinding system doesn't work because it doesn't know that the wall has been destroyed. So we're working on a new system that tries to combine kind of the best of the world of I want to just have pathfinding work with painting the navigable areas in Studio, and the old system where everything is automatic and dynamic. So the new system, it's a nav mesh. It's dynamic, and it has 1 stud accuracy. So everything, you still can't have a wall that's 0.05 studs, but I don't think you should do that necessarily. There's in-studio support for visualization. It shows you where the character can walk, where it can jump. It can auto-jump. The old system doesn't really do that. And you can change the world with scripts, with studio tools, with whatever. We automatically recompute the nav mesh in background, and the navigation just works. And we are also working on some APIs that allow you to have more introspection, like my character is here. Can you find a point around the character within 50 studs that the character can walk to? This is not as interesting for manual user control, but this is super interesting for those of you who use pathfinding for NPCs. So this is shipping soon. We are working on this. There is a version that's almost ready, but we are working on some performance issues and figuring out some bugs. So it should be live later this year. So dialogues. There is some of these features in Roblox that are kind of old, and then we didn't work on them for a while, and then we said, well, A, the feature should be much better. B, developers should have as much control as they possibly can within that system. So dialogues are like that. We have revamped or are revamping the dialogue system. It's written completely in Lua as a plugin. There's really nice UI in Studio. This is a screenshot from Studio where you can drag around dialogue responses. You can connect them with edges, and you can attach script actions to each specific one. So maybe there's an option that says, I'm opening the door, and there's a script action that actually opens the door. You can attach conditions like only show this enter the VIP room line if the person is actually a VIP in your game, and things like that. So it's really easy to use. It's all written in Lua, and it's really easy to do small tweaks to that. And also, if you want, you could just fork the entire code and just use it for your game however you like. Shipping soon, and really excited about that because dialogues are, I think, a big part of some Roblox games, but a lot of games don't have any meaningful dialogue, and I think part of this is just the tools aren't good enough. New UI layouts. Isaiah talked a bit about that, so use them. They're awesome. There is both the layouts and the constraints. Constraints allow you to say these elements should be at least 300 pixels and at most 500 pixels wide, and maybe the aspect ratio should always be 2:1. And then it automatically adjusts to whatever resolution the user has. And there's a lot of layouts that convey the intent of the developer. my items should be in the grid that's like 2 by 4 cells, and then the cells should auto-size to however wide your device actually is. So these make it much easier to make the cross-platform UI. So we are starting to, I think we've revamped like half of our core UIs, all of the like backpack, player list, all of that. I think half of that is using the new layouts now. So you should use them as well. You should report bugs with them, and also you should report feature requests. We ship the 3 most common layouts and like 4 or something most common constraint types. But I think there is more that you guys might want, so talk to us about that. All right, so something that most people did not quite expect is we shipped emojis. Emojis are live. Why did we ship emojis? So there's this project that's in progress right now, and some of you who are beta testers actually have access to that, which is we're working on the chat in the mobile app that's written in Lua using our engine. And we want this to be a really big part of the app and really polished part of our app. You should be able to open like Facebook Messenger on your phone and Roblox app and the chat within the Roblox app on another phone. And you should say, well, these are both awesome chats that I want to use, right? A lot of people use emojis in chats these days, so of course we had to ship that. There's a lot of people from other countries, other languages. How many of you have the native language that does not use Latin alphabet? All right. How many of you have native languages that have extra non-Latin characters like umlauts, etc.? All right. So we want to have more of you, and we want to have it possible for you to type whatever you want in chat, in games, wherever, and it just works. So there's full Unicode font coming with all of the Chinese, Japanese, Korean, no Arabic yet, and like everything basically. So there's new Unicode Lua libraries. There's UTF-8 library that has shipped a few months ago, and there's more to come to make it easier for you to build content that's internationally friendly. And also there's some interesting parts about text layout. So there's Arabic, which is right to left, and also sometimes left to right. There's some ligatures, like if you have A and E in some languages, they should render differently. So we're working on making all of this better so that the text in Roblox looks awesome. And some of this is live. Some of this will ship later this year. All right. So this is stuff that we are focusing on. Now I have a question. How many of you have seen this build and have played around with this build? All right, so for those of you who haven't, I'm not deeply hurt, but I'm slightly hurt. So take a note of this link or ask people around you. There's a build with a prototype lighting that we are currently working on. It's not ready to ship, but it is ready for you to test your places, to tell us what works, what doesn't. There's 2 different lighting schemes there. That have a bit of different properties, different sharpness of shadows, etc. The screenshot from the potential 2018 immersion thing that I had on one of the slides earlier is done with that build on one of the existing levels. So play with it, check existing content, how well that works, try to change the light configuration in your existing places so that it looks better. Try to build new content with these builds. Tell us what works, what doesn't. So take note of the link. There is good descriptions there. The only caveat is this build currently is not available on Mac, and there's some restrictions on Windows. We are ironing out some issues. Part of the reason why this prototype isn't fully live yet is we have a lot of platforms. This build doesn't support all of them. We have a lot of devices that our users have. Some of them are not powerful enough, so what do we do about that? So there's a lot of stuff to figure out, but I encourage you to check out this link, to play with it, and tell us your experiences with it. That's all I have.
Folks with questions, we're going to be doing a Q&A panel towards the end of the day, so do not forget those questions. We're going to run through those in the back, and we'll hopefully ask them to Arseny, Isaiah, and the rest of the panel. All right, folks, the moment you've all been waiting for is here. 7 more hours of lectures. No, it's lunchtime. All right, but first, I've got a fun series of announcements. First, the good stuff. There's a photo booth in the back in front of the YouTube space. Go ahead and take a picture. Remember your good times here. And then after lunch, we will be breaking into the different sessions That is session 1 and 2. I spoke a little earlier of a fundamental game. Yes, we switched them on the agenda. Session 1 will be here. Session 2 will be down the hallway, directly behind you. And before you go through the door that you can't just push open, it's right to your right. That will be session 2. Your choice where to go. That will be for the afternoon. All right. One more thing for the 6 finalists of the tournament. We actually need you guys during lunch. So by 12:15, 12:20, sorry, rush out there, get your food. We're going to need you to meet in the back by the registration booth. Look for Terry, Pterosaurus, if you know her. She's the one. Hopefully you know the 6 of you are. All right. That's about all we got here. So without further ado, let's eat lunch. Thank you, everyone.